Hey friends, it's Carol, Saltbox Stitcher, back for another video, and this is episode, here we go, another math question.
Okay.
Okay.
A little bit of history.
Oh Lord.
Back in the 70s and early 80s, we had a national fuel crisis, and the truckers used CB radios to communicate to each other.
Okay.
And to make brevity in their communications, they had codes. They were called the 10 codes. So they would say 10 something and it would mean something. And
1020, what's your location?
Yeah,
I know
and then
that.
they used to use that to find stations that had gas, best prices, where the speed traps were. And so when they'd send a message, the person that received the message would use a code to indicate that they had received the message.
10-4.
Very good. So this is episode
104.
That's why I married her. She's so quick.
But obviously, you're long-winded. Okay, what have I been stitching? I guess first, everybody does life updates. I'm alive. It's my life update. It's getting a little cooler in Florida. We've had some 70s. Oh, thank you, dear. Love my cup.
Show him the cup.
I've already showed him the cup. If you want to know about this cup, go back a few episodes. Okay. Weather's been nice. I get together with some friends on Thursdays to stitch. That's once a week. I don't go every week, but I try to go every week. And then the other group I'm in meets once a month. And we meet at various people's houses. We have a Facebook page, the whole 9 yards. And there's like between, 12 and 15. Anyway, so one of the gals lives in Gainesville, which is about an hour and a half. So this past Saturday, we went to Gainesville and we had our stitching group at Victoria and Rose Needle Arts, which I have ordered from Tinka. She's the owner, but I've never been there. It's a small shop, and I think she's going to be expanding some. So anyway, in my haul, I'll talk about a few things that I got when I was there. But right now, I'm going to talk about my stitching plans. I have a lot of finishes that I've done in the past, and I guess we'll go from there. Okay, so I had two finishes. The first finish I had was a witch in her garden. It's not fully finished. I need to buy that color paint for the little candle, whatever that's called. I have all the finishing ingredients. I think I got this from Farm Girl Dry Goods. She does a lot of kits, and I think I got that from her. Complete with the pumpkin stem, the velvet, and the fabric for the bottom of the... So I stitched this on Vintage Country Mocha with all of the called for. However, if I had it to do over again, I probably would. There's two colors of black. Or dark. There's hickory sticks, and the other one is
Licorice?
No. It'll come to me. Anyway, I wish I had I did her dress as called for, the hickory sticks, and I kind of wish I had done it in the darker. Well, let's just see which one it is. Charcoal. The other one is charcoal by Weeks. And I wish my hickory sticks was just a little bit light, so the coverage isn't great, and I really don't like all these backstitched, there's like backstitched vines, like right here. I'm not a fan of, I don't mind a little bit of backstitch around letters or something, but when you have like I kind of have to guess at it because I'm not going to count. Okay, it's over 1. It's down 2, but it's in the middle of the... No, I'm not going to do that. So anyway, I got A Witch in Her Garden stitched, and I need to get it fully finished. The other thing, and I had started this one last year. I think I've shown this to you before, but this is Hilda Boo and and that's by With Thy Needle and Thread. Witch in Her Garden is by With Thy Needle and Thread. This is Hilda Boo and Sunflowers 2, also by With Thy Needle and Thread. If I say With Thy Needle and Thread, or if I say Brenda Gervais or Brenda G, they're all the same person. Her company name is With Thy Needle and Thread, and her design, or her name, is Brenda Gervais. So this is Hilda Boo and Sunflowers 2. This came out a few years ago. I don't know the date, but anyway, this is stitched on 40 count 18th century Blackbird by R&R. And there's my finished piece. That was fun. The candy corn, and I'm not going to get too close because it's not great, but the candy corn, you have to do a back stitch that's like almost like a 10th stitch, like half a stitch, and then within that you have to do a little quarter stitch. So it's a little bit fussy on the candy corn, but you could always leave that off. You could just stitch down to there. But she's cute. I love her kind of greenish hair. So anyway, what? Oh, I don't want those candy corn. Thank you. Oh, anyway, Hilda Boo and Sunflowers 2. Finished that, so I need to fully finish that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. To me, it's a little bit big for a pillow. I think it would be better to mount it like this, like on a, although I don't like the flowers on this one, but to mount it like that. So I don't know, but I would like to finish it before Halloween, which is next week. How did it sneak up on us? I still leave out fall things, and some of the finishes I'm going to show you today are more fall than they are Halloween. And then this is one I didn't get the pattern out for this. I finished this last year. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. We'll put it on the screen because I still have the pattern. But anyway, it's designed to be done like a stand-up that's kind of like a dome, and then it's flat on the bottom. And I stitched this in a black silk, and this is 36 count sand dune by Lakeside. Quaker Crow, I think that's the name of it, Quaker Crow. So I stitched that and finished it last year, and I never got it fully finished. And I don't want to use linen on the back, but I thought I'd use this and then do some black trim. That way it's not, I don't like if the backing is like, takes away from the design. I know you don't always see the backing when it's facing forward, but it's just me. I like things a little more subtle. So that's a finish from last year, and those are 3 things that I want to fully finish. I was hoping to get them done fully finished before this video, but didn't happen. And then what have I been stitching? I've been stitching quite a bit on Olga's Autumn Stocking, which is by Plum Street. Olga's Autumn Stocking by Plum Street. And I got to a point where I'm not 100% sure I like the color. So this small pumpkin here is Weeks, as well as this is the same color, and it's supposed to be Weeks Chrysanthemum. And when I'm out here, it looks pretty good when I'm comparing the threads. But under my light, which is it's supposed to be daylight, but you know, sometimes they have a little bit of a green tinge. It just looks too pink. So here's my progress, and here's that first pumpkin I'm starting on. So the house is finished. All of the stuff up here is finished, and I'm starting to move down. And this is folded. So when I move down, it'll go this way for the stocking. So I'm right here, maybe a third of the way done. I don't know, although there's not as much down here, but you have that kind of dense stitching on the pumpkins and the toe. Maybe a little less, maybe 3/8. Oh my gosh. We're not going to talk about my hair, okay? I'm not going to talk about my hair. I've yet to get a haircut. It's driving me crazy. I'm not going to talk, and here I am talking about my hair. I told myself, don't talk about your hair. Anyway, back to Olga's stocking. So, I don't know. I like, and to me, this is all personal opinion, of course. To me, Weeks is the most consistent over the years for their colors of their floss. Gentle Art, some of those have varied. And I know it can be different, you know, points or parts of the dye bath. I know, I've heard all of that, and that's fine. But to me, if you have an older Weeks and you have a newer Weeks, they're pretty consistent. Classic Colorworks, Gentle Art, Shaker threads are not as consistent. There's nothing wrong with them. Some of them, you know, but I have had some threads that are markedly different, and then I've had some that are exactly the same as years ago. So I didn't have any other chrysanthemum, but it just seemed sort of pink. But maybe in the grand scheme of things, because there's a few DMC, it'll be fine. Maybe I should just soldier on. See how that kind of looks pinkish? I know there's a needle in there. Anyway, I'm enjoying this. It's fun. So I worked on that, and I'll get back to that. I'd love to finish it but that's the kind of thing I can work on in November, because it's still somewhat autumn, especially here in Florida. The other thing I started, this is kind of silly, but it's fun. I have this Tricks or Treat book by Blackbird Designs. I don't know if this is still available or not. Tricks or Treat. I'm thinking it is, but I'm not sure. So there's this little black cat on orange linen. And I think he's really cute. And I'm trying to do more things for my little black feather tree for Halloween. So I had this piece of, I think it's 28 count. It's the same linen as I did on the Cats on Parade by Blackbird. It's a piece of linen that came off of that. Oh wow, that looks really, it's much brighter orange than that. Interesting. Anyway, let me see if I hold it up against something white. Maybe that's a little better. So this is something that's just not going to take very long. It does take 2 strands. I'm just using DMC. There's 2 colors, 310 and 3021. You can, it calls for overdyed, but I wasn't going to use overdyed on this little piece. So that's another thing. Hopefully I can finish that in the next day or so and get that also fully finished. And that's from Tricks or Treat, and the actual chart, here it is again, is Black Cat Sampler. This little book has a lot of really cute little things in it. And Blackbird, being how they are, they will take pictures of finished pieces and then just Mod Podge them onto different paper mache boxes or whatever. This one is actually on a little small paper bag. They're just very creative like that. So anyway, it's how to get extra miles out of your stitching. Or let's say you make a gift for someone, take a picture of it before you give it, and then you can print the picture and then use it yourself, and you don't have to stitch yourself one. Genius. Anyway, Tricks or Treat by Blackbird. That has that little orange piece in there. And yes, I'm suffering through 2 strands. And I'm not even hurt. It's not even painful. It's so small. It's like, whatever. It's almost harder to stitch it in hand, though, because the holes are so big, and it's like, ay, ay, ay. So, anyway. I didn't work on any samplers except one, and I got out my Sarah Marple. This is by Northumberland Sampler House. I took this with me to Victorian Rose, and I worked on the border. And then once I had the border done, I started working on a couple of the flowers. So I have the border, the bones of the border, the outline, the vine, whatever, finished. And this is just on a Zweigart, and I'm using the called for DMC. I'll give you a little bit closer picture. And then I started on one of the bands. It's pretty. I'm not sure what color Zweigart this is. Maybe cream. I don't know. I don't believe it's platinum. I know it's not light mocha. I think it might be cream. So I got that. I'm going to take a short break. I'll be right back. So that was the only sampler I worked on, and so that's what I've been stitching. I have done quite a bit of other crafts, and so toward the end I'm going to show you a couple quilts that I got finished, although I haven't put the bindings on yet. I have to wait to do that because I have a lot of other things I have to get done. Anyway, I'm going to talk about plans, then a few things I bought. The first plan that I have is I want to start this autumn at Lazy Bear Mountain. There's some other gals that are starting this, and I'm going to start it too. This is by Kathy Barrick. I have a friend that finished it, and I had kitted it even before my friend finished it, and I've wanted to do it ever since, especially seeing her finish. I have it kitted with a piece of 40 count hog bristle. There's a few hog bristles that like I have hog bristles. There's a few pieces that I have that are a little bit darker, a little more gray. This one's a little lighter, so I think it'll work good. And I have it kitted with the called for NPIs. Oranges, browns, blacks, a few reds, just gorgeous. So I'm really looking forward. I obviously won't finish that this year because the stitch count is 419 by 269. So not for the faint of heart. Again, that's autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. So I'm starting that. I have a few others. Will I get to these? I know I won't, but this is kind of my November thinking. I stitched one of these last year. I think it was the Happy Thanksgiving. I need to get it out and find it because I need to fully finish it. These are for the Bowl series, and this is by Handmade. Well, it's Thread Milk Designs. And it's the For the Bowl series. And I for sure would like to do the Grateful this year. Just a small little Grateful. This is Turkey Tavern. She has one, I think, for every month. So this is November. So I'd like to do that. Someone showed this recently. I think it was Lenny on the Sable Stitchers, but I'm not 100% sure. This is Threadwork Primitives. And this one is Ever So Grateful. Trying to avoid the glare. So cute. So these are things that I would leave up during November. After I take down, you know, Halloween stuff, spooky stuff, then this is what I would leave up. Another one is this one. I'd like to at least get this one started. This is Bounty Sampler. Oops, I better take that out. There's a lot of glare on that one. Hold please. Bounty Sampler by Plum Street. Here's a close-up. I just think that's adorable. You got some Pilgrim people. You've got corn. They look very similar to the leaves that are on Olga's Autumn Stocking. I just think that looks so cute. Plum Street Bounty Sampler. So I'd like to at least get that one started. I have it kitted with a piece of, I think it's 36 count Stars Hollow, which is what it calls for, with the call for threads. So that one's all ready to go. The next one that I, you know, for like the last 3 years, I keep saying I'm going to start it, and I've yet to start it, is Thomas by Not Forgotten Farm. Love this. My friend Pam stitched this one, and she used overdyed cottons, and I think I'm going to try to do that too, rather than the called for DMC. And I think the overdyed cottons were originally a conversion by Vanna Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitcher. So you might want to go to her blog and see if you can find it. Thomas by Not Forgotten Farm. And I have that one kitted with a piece of, oh, I have started this. Well, what do you know? Oh, life brings lots of surprises, doesn't it? I guess I started this last year and left the needle in it. Okay, I hear the sirens. The cross-stitch police are coming to get me for leaving a needle in it for a year. I think this is 40 count Oaken by Picture This Plus. Well, I guess I need to continue. I guess that's a whip I need to work on. It's bad when it gets like this. It's bad. And then I have all of those overdyed cottons on a wonderful thread drop by my friend Patty, who makes these. She just makes them for friends, and I think she charges either 20 or 25. I trade her for quilting, so that works out good. This one I just got this year at Country Samplers. This is a Stacy Nash. And I showed you this, I think, in my haul when I came home from Country Sampler. And I'd like to at least start this. This is Gather Thy Harvest Pin Keep. Again, I got this as a kit at Country Sampler. Gather Thy Harvest Pin Keep. And until I start it, I'm not going to disturb that cute little kit. When I worked at the quilt shop here in Jacksonville, the Old Green Cupboard, when we used to kit things up, you know, it was all about presentation and kitting things up. So I know how fun it is when you get a kit and it's all packaged so good. Here's another one. I don't have this kitted. I'm sure I could kit it probably pretty quickly. It's supposed to be stitched on sand linen by Picture This Plus. I don't know if I have that, but I have something that would work. Maybe Heartland. And this one is called Queen of Harvest, not Not The Harvest, just Queen of Harvest. It says give thanks for bounty. This is by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. And this one came out in 2014, so you might have to go to her website, which is countrystitchesonline.com. I really like that one. I might just kit that up so I can start a few stitches, and then next year I'll be surprised. I'll be like, oh, I didn't know I started this. Because that's how I evidently roll. You saw it in real time. It is a disease. He's outside now, so, but it is a disease. This one is Turkey Hollow Farm. A lot of people are stitching this and have just finished it. A friend of mine is stitching it in my Thursday stitch group. And she's using the Weeks Beige. And actually, Victorian Rose had some 40 count beige. I should have gotten that when I was there because I have a piece of 36. But I had kind of decided not to use the beige in favor of a piece of Antique Lace by Seraphim that I have that has those same kind of, just a little bit of greenish overtones. I probably will still stick with this. And again, I have it all kitted with the threads. With the thread drop from my friend that's a turkey. And I have asked her, so don't write it in the comments. I have asked her if she's interested in selling them, and she said not at this time. She just doesn't have the time to do it. She'll make like 10 or 15 of them and bring them to stitching, and then she sells them all, and then we're all happy. But to do it on a bigger scale, she's like, I just don't have time. One more. I actually showed you this one last time. This was from a retreat at Country Sampler. I mean, not at Country Sampler. A retreat last year at Quilter Station. This is Chessie and Me, Harvest Housewife. I just showed you this last time. I'd like to at least get a start on that. And then this is the inside. I think this should be out since it was 2022 retreat. So if it's not out yet, it'll be out shortly. But I love that. And that was kitted with all the threads and the linen and all the good stuff that goes with it. And then the last one, and I won't get all these. I know that. I'm just thinking toward what I'm going to stitch in November. This is a book, and I'm not 100% certain whether this is still available. This is a book that came out by Not Forgotten Farm, and this one is Autumn by Not Forgotten Farm. I have another one, and I think it's either spring or summer. It has all kinds of stuff. It has some applique, it has a punch needle, just has a little bit of everything. It's published by the Kansas City Star, which no longer publishes, so I'm pretty sure this is out of print. But, you know, there's always secondary market. And this one is called Turkey Trot. I love this. Love this. It's only 135 by 89. I love this. Those two turkeys, that yellow house. I mean, come on. I really want to start this one. Again, Turkey Trot, Autumn, at Not Forgotten Farm. So you might be able to find it on the secondary market. Here's a couple other things. It has the witch's shoe, a punch needle, just all kinds of good things to make. Needlework projects to warm your hands and your heart. So anyway, and that I have kitted. I have a piece of linen in here, but I don't have a, I don't know what this is. It feels like an older R&R. Anyway, I think it's 40 count. Anyway, I don't have I don't have threads pulled yet, but they're all DMC. I might decide I'd want to pull an overdye for the house. How cute is that? Okay, I'm gonna stop going on and on about that because it's not readily available, and that is not really very kind of me to keep showing things that you can't get. So those are my kind of November stitches that I'm thinking about. I definitely am gonna start that autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. And then while we're talking autumn, I'm going to show you a few pieces that I have. This one, I haven't shown you this one before. I did just recently lace and get a frame for this one. I actually ordered a couple other frames and they came in wrong from Hobby Lobby, so they had to be reordered. But that is With Thy Needle and Thread Gone Batty. Oops. Gone Batty by With Thy Needle and Thread. And this one is on Kermit linen by Picture This Plus. Fun fact, did you know all Picture This Plus linens have one-word names? A lot of places like Seraphim is antique lace, 2 words, but all Picture This Plus is 1 word. So next time you're at a retreat, you can say, here's a little trivia. You know, they're all 1 word. Kermit, Heartland, Sand, they're all 1 word. I don't know how I know that. Somebody told me that at one point in time, and it's true. Here's 2 others that I'm hoping to get framed in the next week. This is, I showed you this one last year when I finished it. It's The Gather In by Plum Street. And here's my finish. So I'd like to get that. That one I will also keep up during November. And then the famous, well-known Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom. Also, I hope to have that framed. And I know he's kind of Halloween-y with the black cat, but I will keep him up. And that's by Not Forgotten Farm, Lori Brecklin. Somebody's about ready to start this. Who was it? I think it was Roberta from the Sable Stitchers. She put out a poll, what should I start next? And I think she said this one won. Which, by the way, who are some of the floss tubers I've been watching? Just So Sherry, SEW. She's in the UK. Love her. She's very funny. And she just makes fun of herself all the time, and it's cute. I mean, not that somebody makes fun of themselves, but she takes herself very lightly, I guess I should say. I've watched I'm a Stitch Nerd, which is Laurel. Always watch Olivia, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, Brenda and Laura. I have watched, I'm missing Nicole from Nicole's Needlework. She hasn't done a video in a long time. So missing you, Nicole. In fact, I reached out to her and said, miss you. Let's see, who else have I watched? I watched Floss Boss and Cousins. If you're into crime, I've been watching The Lawyer You Know. He does a lot of breakdowns of crime. He's an actual lawyer and easy on the eyes. Who else have I watched? There's somebody else that was fairly new that I watched. Hoop It Up with Jan. I've watched that. And if I think of anybody else, I'll let you know. Okay, so here's some of my finished pieces that I've finished in the past. This one I did not finish. Someone gave it to me at an exchange. This is by, I think it's Lisa Reel. It's all stitched over 1. It's by, I believe it's by Stacy Nash. But it could be Not Forgotten Farm. I'm not sure which one it is. Like I said, it was a gift. And she mounted it on this cool box. The pattern is the pattern is Bonnie's Bittersweet by Scarlet House. Okay, I had that all wrong. I left the little tag in there that she made. She put it on this cool box. And it's all stitched over one. Again, that would be a death wish for me. Stitch that much over one. But that's one of the things I leave out for in November. This one I didn't get out, but this is easily recognizable. This is Grateful, Thankful, Blessed by With Thy Needle and Thread. I stitched this on the called for Wren, and it does call for, I think, 2 different silks. One of them is the white, and I'm thinking the other one is either the letters or the outline, because my letters show up pretty good. I love this piece. So that is Grateful, Thankful, Blessed. And then the bottom says Harvest. Very fun. So that one is one that I have finished. Oh no. Okay, hold on here. It does become a dilemma. My microphone is right here, so a lot of times people will ask me what weird sounds are. If you even touch this microphone, it can make a noise. So since I have always been told that I need a little more finesse by my dad, because I'm like a bowl in a china shop. Not a bowl in a china shop. There's a lot of bowls in a china shop. I'm like a bull in a china shop. Anyway, this one is, did I show you this last time? I might have shown you this last time. This is Feast of Friendship by Blackbird Designs. Some people are doing this one as well. I didn't get out the Blackbird pattern. And then I've had a lot of people ask about the one that I had framed over here, which is Moonlit Garden by Blackbird. I originally stitched it, I can't remember if it was a small pattern or a leaflet or whatever, but it came out individually. Again, this is Moonlit Garden by Blackbird. And this one is it's been re-released in this book called When the Leaves Fall by Blackbird. So it's toward the back of the book, Moonlit Garden by Blackbird. So that is still available. If you want to stitch, it's been re-released. And then I'm going to show you some things that are in this little shaker box. This is out on a cabinet here in the living room. Hopefully I have all the patterns, but I'm not sure. Hopefully I do. So if I don't have the patterns, I apologize. These 3 I finished last year. This is called Goodness and Plenty by Plum Street. And this is the first one. I put that little green plaid on the back. Kind of noisy. Here's the second one, Goodness and Plenty. And here's the third one. So all 3 of these are on this pattern. Goodness and Plenty by Plum Street. It called for Stars Hollow. That's probably what I used. I don't know. If I have it in my stash, if I have the called for. And then I put this this one has kind of a gold rickrack Sorry, I guess all of them have a gold rickrack, and this one has some bells with the little pin. Very fun. So that's in there. This is Waiting for the Harvest by Blackbird. I think that's the name of it. The pattern shows it stitched with black, and I stitched it with a gold. I don't know, maybe nutmeg. I know I stitched it with the same color because it was pretty variegated, and I picked out the darker color for the birds and then the lighter parts of the thread for the pumpkins. So I have that one in there. I have this one, and originally this was a Dying to Stitch club piece, I believe. This is Autumn Cottage by Plum Street. Again, I stitched this last year and fully finished it, but it has since been released. Autumn Cottage by Plum Street. So pretty. This one has some kind of orange crackle fabric with a little star and bow. Put some of these back in here so they're not all over the place. And then I have this one, which is the Scarlet House Autumn Alphabet by the Scarlet House. This one I put on it's a horn book. These are by April's Needlework Accessories. It's a Etsy shop. If you put in April's Needlework, I think it'll come up. Then I just tied a jute bow. But it has kind of a little bit of a crackle finish. Autumn Alphabet. This is a little wool tree by Under the Woolen Willow. I bought that a couple years ago, so I have that in there. This was a gift someone gave me, for autumn, and I think this is needlework or Little House Needleworks. It's either that or Country Cottage, one or the other. This one is a cereal bowl collection. Somebody showed this. This is how goofy I am. Somebody showed this on a floss tube, and I thought, did I stitch that? So then I went and I spent like all kinds of time looking for it. The pattern. I thought, I don't think I've stitched that. Somebody once left a comment and they said, do you remember everything that you've stitched? Oh yeah, of course I do. How would I forget something I've stitched? Well, I did. I went looking and I thought, well, maybe I did stitch it. So then I would go into my pile of patterns of all the things I have stitched, and it was in there. So I thought, okay, well, where is it? So then I had to search in the house for it. I had it, and I've stitched it. Again, this is Cereal Bowl Collection, Plum Street, and this is lesson 4. So this should be still available. Lesson 4, Cereal Bowl Collection. And it says, be you to others kind and true as you would have others be to you. Isn't that the truth? And so this one is another one that I finished on a horn book. This is orange, obviously. And then I put a little bit of chenille around the edge. I didn't do a great job, but I did an okay job. I'm not a finisher, but I can finish for myself, and I'm happy with what I end up with. And then the last one in this little bowl is this, which is Be Ye Thankful. This came out, I think, last year. Yeah, 2022. It's one of the few that I bought kitted and kind of immediately stitched it because I really liked it. Be Ye Thankful by With Thy Needle and Thread. And here it is. I put something simple on the back. Just a simple leaf pattern, kind of goldish. And I put another pin with a couple bells and a star. And I probably used all the called for on that. So that's another few things that are, oops, I hit the microphone again. I apologize. Those are a few other things that I have stitched in the past. Some in the way past, some in the not so past. Okay, so let me do one other thing here. Can you just, when you're done, set that on the floor so I have more room to pile stuff
I'll
up?
tiptoe.
You'll tiptoe so you don't make any noise. The other thing that I'm going to start is, I'm going to start this on Thanksgiving. And a friend of mine in my Thursday group said she's going to start it in November. And I thought, oh, I want to start that. This is And Heaven and Nature Sing by Kathy Barrick. Love this. Love it. And again, I've had this kitted for a while. I don't think I had linen in here with it, but I'm going to be stitching it on a piece of pecan butter by Lakeside. And I think I have all of the NPIs. I don't have them on a ring yet. I might be missing some, not really missing, but they're in other projects. So again, And Heaven and Nature Sing. And it's not huge. It's 186 by 153. I mean, it's not like it's 300 by 250 or something. Now that's a big old deer, and that's a lot of stitching on that deer. But I love it. I love it. Heaven and Nature Sing. And now you're singing, aren't you? Okay. So that started my thinking about Christmas. Are we starting to think about Christmas? November's really transition, because as you get close, I mean, some people are already decorating or getting ready to decorate. We don't usually decorate till after Thanksgiving, but sometimes that becomes kind of like something you end up not having time, and then it's all of a sudden the first week of December before you're getting a tree. And I think I'd like to get a tree the week before Thanksgiving. We could have the grandkids over to help us decorate it. What are you thinking? How's that sound?
Sounds wonderful.
I thought so. So anyway, now will I fully decorate the house? Maybe. I don't know. We've been having Thanksgiving at my daughter's house, so who would know? Mom, you already have Christmas up? Yeah, I do. Okay, so I was watching. I'm going to go ahead and. No, I'm going to show you Christmas, because let's just stick with the subject you're talking about. So I've been watching Narissa. She's one of my favorite. Narissa's Stitching Lifestyle. She's in New Zealand. She's a prolific stitcher. Her and Stitching Faye are both prolific. I'm like in awe of how much they get done.
Can you spell that?
Prolific, prolific. You forget that I was like a runner-up in the Missouri spelling bee state spelling bee when I was 5th or 6th grade, one of them.
That was quite a while ago.
Yeah, but I can still spell. Anyway, now you made me lose my train of thought.
Christmas.
You didn't make me. Okay, so I've been watching Narissa, and she does a lot of ornaments. She does Christmas in July. She does Christmas ornaments all year round. Now, I lost some stitched ornaments years ago when we had a leak in our garage and a box got wet. So now I'm smart enough, I leave all the stitched things in the house. But regardless, I don't have a whole lot. I have some stitched pieces. And usually I put them on a smaller tree, but I'd love for our big tree to have more stitched ornaments. So now, will I get all these done? No. Am I thinking I want to? Sure. I bought these eons ago when I went to Dying to Stitch for the first Dying to Stitch retreat that I went to. I'm thinking it was 2019, but it could have been 2018. And these are by Hands On Design. And these are the 12 Days of Christmas. I have the threads. I printed out the template that you can print for the linen. I have actually two pieces. Well, I guess I should show you the patterns and then you'll get the whole idea. Anyway, they're the 12 Days of Christmas and they're these red ornaments on a green tree. Wow, so cool. These came out in 2017, but I'm pretty sure they're still available. So there's, I also got the buttons and that's kind of covering up one of them. There's two, so there's 6 patterns altogether because you get 2 designs per pattern. So this is Lords of Leaping, Ladies in Waiting, or whatever, the 12 Days of Christmas. And then we have, oh shoot, I have all these patterns. I mean the buttons. I got the buttons. Piper's piping, drummer's drumming. Swans a swimming, maids a milking. Narissa did not have these, but her whole thing with ornaments kind of got me going on this. Rings a ringing, no, five golden rings. Geese a laying. Partridges partridging. Doves a doving. I know that's not right. Hens laying. Turtle doves, whatever. Anyway, there's 6 patterns, so, and they're all different shapes, if you can see. Some of them are kind of shaped like that. Some of them are shaped like this. They're not all different shapes, but there's different shapes. And you can go on Hands On Design's website, Kathy Haberman, and you can see, I think she does a tutorial on how to do them, and then you can print out the templates. Anyway, I have 2 pieces of red linen. I'm not exactly sure why I have 2. One is probably like a 28 count, and the other is like a 36 count. But I'm gonna go with this one because I like that. It's a little bit lighter. I just dropped something, but I don't know. I'll get it. I actually even have the little hangers. I have the whole kit and caboodle. The only thing I don't have is the fake greenery. I have the buttons. I have the hangers. See how there's hangers on there? I have it all. So I really should stitch these. I mean, they're not complicated. There is a lot of backstitch. There is some backstitch. I shouldn't say a lot. There's some backstitch. So I've had these kitted, and I thought, what the heck? Why haven't I stitched those? Your guess is as good as mine, so. And then I pulled a few other patterns that are ornaments. There's 3 of these, Hands On Design. This is Christmas Collection Part 2, the chalkboard ornaments. This is collection number 3, chalkboard. And this is collection number 1, chalkboard ornaments by Hands On Design. You know, believe, be jolly, be merry, goodwill to all, glad tidings, great joy, silent night, silver bells, sugar plums. I mean, they're really cute. So then you have black ornaments that you can put on your tree. So then, as part of my haul, now remember this piece that I showed you that I finished? This Hildeboo. This is on 40 count 18th century blackbird. by R&R. So I could use that for some of these ornaments. I also ordered a piece from Kitten Stitcher that's called Ookie Spooky, which is a really pretty gray. And then I could do some in black, so that would be fun too. And then I probably will do those more gray. And then I also have this, which is Oh Christmas 3, and I guess I need to find 1 and 2. This is by also Hands On Design. And I think this one may have come out last year during the Jingle Ball. I didn't sign up for the Jingle Ball. It sounds really fun. But as you can see, I just have so much. And I don't want to be tempted to get more than I can stitch. And that should be engraved on my tombstone. I don't want to have more than I can stitch. No comment. You don't even have to comment. But anyway, I think these came out last year. I ordered this as a kit. And these are done with color and cotton. And I think there's, I take that back. I did not order these as a kit. Maybe from Farm Girl. And it was the pattern plus the threads. And the threads are by color and cotton. And with that, I have a piece of Shadow, 36 count, by Picture This Plus. So that would be the darker ones. Because we know black is not the easiest to stitch on. So I don't mind if some of them are gray, is my point. And then in talking about Christmas, I have a couple other patterns that I have had for years and I would really like to stitch. This one is called Gathering the Greens by Stacy Nash. Kitted. This is by Plum Street called Welcome All Hearts Home. Whoops. And this one, a friend of mine on the Thursday group, the gal that makes the floss drops. I'm not sure if she finished this, but I know she's been stitching on this. And this is Paper Snowflakes by With the Needle and Thread. I think you'd have to go to her website for this one. I don't do snowmen in January because that's we don't have snow in Florida. We have had ice a few times, but we don't have snow. So anyway, that is my thinking ahead to Christmas. And I have a lot of other Christmas that I would like to stitch, but I'm not gonna go into all that. Those are sort of my ones that I wanted to do favorite. Then I'm gonna talk just a tad bit about what else I've been working on, which is wool and quilting. So if you're not interested in that, you can just go right on. Oh, before I get to that, this is one of the things I bought at Victorian Rose Needle Arts. She had this is one of her own patterns. This is Frances Pink, 1785, and I love this. She had the antique and the model. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous, so gorgeous. And I got this piece of Age Saffron by Dames of the Needle, which is that's kind of close. But believe it or not, when I went up to the actual stitched piece, the color was just a little bit lighter than this, like some of this. It was gorgeous. She calls for either DMC or NPI, and I think I'd like to stitch it on NPI. Frances Pink, 1785. So I've never stitched on any Dames of the Needle, so I got a fat half, which is way more than I'll need, but you know, that's what happens. This is a piece of Just the Ticket by Tabby Cat. I did not have any of this as well. This is just a nice light neutral for samplers. Sort of reminds me of Vintage Light Exemplar. So then let me show you, now you can leave if you want. I looked for the book for this and I'm not sure what I did with the book. I just finished it. This is On Redware Road. This is in an old book by Lisa Bonjean called, I'll put it down here at the bottom. It's under her old name. She used to be, instead of Primitive Gatherings, Lisa Bonjean used to be Backyard Quilts, I think, or Backyard Gatherings, one of them. And it's in an older book she did with somebody. And this is On Redware Road. I started this. Okay. The quilt shop that I worked at closed in 2010, and I bought this kit before they closed. So now I didn't start on it right away. But I've had this in the works for a long time. So what a good feeling to finally finish something and get it done. I just put cotton on the back and then bound it. It's called On Redware Road, I think. It may not be. I'll have my, if I think of it, if I can find the book, I'll have him insert a picture. But it's all wool. I started out doing a lot of it with blanket stitch, but the wool pennies around, I ended up just doing a whip stitch because I didn't have time to want to, you know, I mean, 13 years, I just didn't have time to do blanket stitch on all of it. The other thing I finished are a couple of quilts. When I say finished, it's all but the binding. So this one, I think it's called Cornrows. This is a country sampler. It was a kit when I bought it. It's these kind of diamond shape, and then you put corners on them, and there's 4 sections. One goes this way, one goes this way, and then the other way. It's all golds, browns, and then it has this textured border, and that's the same as what the binding's going to be. So I didn't get the pattern out for that one. Again, sometimes I don't know what I do. I'm really organized with my cross stitch patterns, but not so much. And then this one is also was a country sampler kit. I'll say the corn one, I finished piecing it last year and I thought it was finished. I went to get it out and I was like, well, where is that? It was in the pile of to be quilted. So I got it quilted. Now I just have to work on the binding. This one is called In the Pumpkin Patch. This is a little smaller, so I don't need his help. This is also one that is a quilt that is only available, or pattern that's only available at Country Sampler. Last year I started piecing some of the pumpkins. Quilting for me is like stitching. When it's in the season, I'm all about it. When the season ends, I put it away in a project bag or a Ziploc, whatever. And then the next year I get it out and I think, oh, I forgot I have part of this done. So this year I finished this one. This one measures 36 by 36. And again, it was a kit from Country Sampler. It has all those blocks around the edge and then the pumpkins in the middle. And it's called In the Pumpkin Patch by Country Sampler. And the last one that I got, this, okay, so that one I had started last year. This one still has threads hanging on it from quilting. This was a kit from JJ's Quilt Shop. And that's also in Wisconsin. And it's called Pumpkins in the Window. And the kit came with 2 pumpkin colors. And then this pumpkin is the same as the border. And it's called Pumpkins in the Window by JJ Stitches. Julie Hendrickson owns that shop. It's in Madison, Wisconsin. JJ Stitches. And then you can use leftover fabric to make these little pillow tucks. I didn't make those. So I decided to use a few more fabrics. So I dipped into my stash to make a few more fabrics. So the pumpkins are more than just a couple colors. Again, this was called Pumpkins in the Window. I'm sure the pattern you can probably still call JJ Stitches. They wouldn't have the kit anymore, but they might still have the pattern. So that's kind of what else I've been working on. I have one more person's quilt, and it's ready to go out this week for the quilt sale. And I'm also going to be having another quilt sale in November. However, I'm not going to be selling any finish yourself. I'm only going to be selling things that are already finished, because it's very stressful, and I don't like having, I guess, the stress of having to quilt somebody's quilt once it's already paid for, because then if I break a needle or something, I'm like, I would never be able to find those same fabrics to recreate it, and it just gets stressful. So I would only be selling, I'll probably at most have 8 to 10 quilts, and it'll be sometime in November, but that's yet to come. So, and they will go out right away because they're already finished. It would just be a matter of packaging them and selling them. I mean, packaging them and sending them. So anyway, I think that's all I have to say. That's probably more than I should have said, because it's going to be longer than I really wanted it to be. But now I get to clean up this whole big mess, and you can go on your way stitching or watching someone else. So take care, and I will see you when I see you. Love ya. Bye. Some of these that I'm just showing you the plans, I'm not going to include the name and the designer. That takes my husband a lot of extra time, and I'm glad that he started doing it, but here's how it goes. So we upload the video, he puts in the little place holders for where that'll be. I have to watch the video and write down all of what goes in those placeholders and the timestamp. Then he goes through and inserts the names and the designer. Then I go through again to make sure there's no typing errors, or that I didn't give him the wrong information. And then if he has to correct anything, then he has to go through. So it's quite a process. So I'm really only in the future going to put those little titles on things that I'm working on when I hold up the actual stitched piece. Comprendo? So, just to save a little bit of time, last time it took almost a week between when I filmed and when it actually went live, because of all the behind the scenes editing and all that has to be done. So, anyway,